Open your eyes, see inside. Nothing's like you knew before. See inside, see the light and more.
Welcome to an hour of power. I am Keith Anthony Blanchard, spiritual teacher, musician, author of the best-selling book Homecoming: Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, and your host of Center of Light. Let's dive in. Welcome to Center of Light. It is white all about. It is 22 frickin' degrees, frigid degrees outside my window. I wish I could just grab this camera and show you. For my guest tonight, this is a normal occurrence for us mid-southerners. This is so strange. Speaking of strange occurrences, my guest tonight, his name is just not my way of using my tongue. Ephraim Jamin Vasquez Jr. I think that's right. I'll get closer. So tonight I'm talking to this brand new friend. I watched a presentation, an interview the other night, thanks to Katie Camara. 15 whatever so minutes, and I was like, wow, this guy has a phenomenal disposition. He's not trying to sell you anything, nothing at all. He just wants to share something with you, something that is powerful, divinely powerful. Though when we're caught in these experiences, it may not seem that way at all, but there's always a meaning, there's always a reason. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa ra 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 ra. Good to see you. Center of Light Radio, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Take off your seatbelt, y'all. We're going into inner space. Inner space. We're going to find an inner space of peace through what can seem like the world. The world has changed. It has. But it ain't done with you yet. It's gotten more invested. You need to be invested. We need to be invested so we can gain capital, if you will. So if we can have more value and appreciation to up our abundance game. Because this new world is going to require you to accept your abundance of all that is the truth, all that is right, all that is balanced and whole. So we have to be engaged wholly, or the word holy, they derive from the same place, same idea, same meaning, same heart. Are you with that program? If you're in this light ship, I know you are. But if you're new to Center of Light Radio, thank you. Welcome. Share this everywhere. I do have links in the forums to my guest tonight, Ephraim, as well as my work, his websites, my new bestseller, Homecoming: Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, so forth and so on. Let's get down to some cray-cray, some spiritual cray-cray. I say cray-cray because it's fun. It paints the idea of being out of the box. Many people, many years ago, I didn't know what to do with allowing myself to venture outside of the box. Well, if you're here tonight and you stick around for the duration, Pandora's box has opened up. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest. I don't want to reveal too much because his bio is actually his interview tonight. So I want to hear it in his own words. As virgin as you are, you spiritual virgin, you. Ephraim Jamin Vasquez Jr. was born on December 6, 1977 in the small town of Findlay, Ohio, and grew up in a physical, sexual, mental, and verbal abusive poor class in a strictly Jehovah's Witness upbringing. Growing up as a child, he was a shy loner. You will see the shyness about him, but it's powerful. With no friends or support of any kind to help him with the constant abuse he received at home and at school, until one night that changed his life forever! Exclamation point. That changed his life forever. That exclamation point is everything before the exclamation point. That's why it's there. To share with you the power. He encountered not only a UFO ship above his home overhead, but beings that occupied it. The little alien grays began speaking to him and wanted to be friends with him. That affected him to a point He obeyed their instructions during the abductions alongside the draconian lizard people to which they were present. Since his first visit, Ephraim began looking up at the night skies and pondered the big question. My God, this question so parallels with me when I was getting my walk on, my crawl on, actually. He pondered the big question: what's out there in the vastness of space aside from God and heaven? Ephraim began checking out books about space, planets, and even extraterrestrials, keeping an open mind despite his encounters with beings from another planet. He had his religious belief teaching him differently, and Ephraim was confused and was trying to make sense of all that was happening to him. His parents always got mad and disciplined him when he shared with them his encounters and experiences, and they told him that extraterrestrials were only demons and misled him away from God. Bruh, that is powerful stuff. My friend, welcome to Central of Light Radio.
Thank you very much, Keith, for having me. Been a
You're
pleasure.
welcome. You're welcome. I was listening to Katie Kamara the other night. She had a post of an interview, and there you sat. And I listened, and then I started really listening. And then I was like, what? And then I'm beyond listening. I'm almost experiencing it with you because I can look at you and see that there's nothing there except this is what it's like to be me. Would you begin with us telling us how this happened, though I read your bio? Start from where you think is the most original point that you want to share, and lead us into just wherever you want to go with it, sir.
Okay. Well, the best part is starting from the beginning where I first encountered at night the UFO ship. Uh, I was upstairs where I lived in 142 Larkin Street. It was a big home, and they had upstairs. So one night I went upstairs, slept in my room, and I had this funny feeling about wanting to look out through the window to look out in the night sky. And I saw something overhead above my house was moving very slowly, and it was coming to the point where I could see the bottom of this silent moving object. It had plates, overlapping plates. It was silver blackish tint where you can see the reflection from you can see the reflection looking upwards. You can see it everything clearly, and it was amazing. And there was lights. It The lights was slowly moving from left to right, and sometimes in circular motion, sometimes, and there was different colors of lights, and uh, it was it sparkled my interest because I was like, "What am I looking at? What is this giant thing?" So I got out from my bed. I was I had underwear on, embarrassingly, but I went down the steps, ran outside, and it was gone. I went back to bed, and all of a sudden, I had a funny, really tingling feeling. And I opened my eyes, and I got up or whatever, and I saw the tingling feeling came, and then I saw these children, but they had big heads, and they walked kind of different, and they were coming towards me, and they had this big almond eyes, really black. And the very first thought that came to my mind, they look like some kind of praying mantis, like that's the very first thing that I grew up, because we grew up there's a lot of praying mantis and all that stuff. And I thought it looked like that, but it wasn't. And one of the beings came up to me, stretched its hands out to me, and asked me to come with him. And it says, we're not here to harm you. We're your friends. But come with us.
That's
And I was
amazing.
like,
That's amazing because people normally, when they have visits by the Greys, it's not so pleasant. So I'm glad that it was like jovial and light for you.
right. And what it was interesting about it was when I touched its hand, it was cold, clammy, kind of cold, I think. And I remember walking with them because as I didn't have friends. I was bullied and hated in school. I didn't have any love in my family upbringing that much. It was a very volatile environment I was in. And when they wanted to be my friends, I'm like, oh my God, who are these? Who are you guys? Okay, let's do this. Let's meet, see what's going on. So they took me downstairs, outside, and as I got to the front porch, there was this bright circle light, like right in the dead center. And I went up, and the lights I was bright. So all I remember, like in an instant, I was in board their ship, and it had a funny smell. I cannot find any smell that resembled it, but I knew there was strange odor. And as I got aboard the ship, they took me to the room, and that's where I saw, to me, uh, I thought they resembled dinosaurs, but they stood upright. They weren't like four-legged, like like a dog or a cat. They stood upright. They were, to me, looked like velociraptors, but they weren't. They were very bulky, very intimidating looking. I was scared, but they told me not to be scared, to follow them, follow their instruction. I, but I was amazed by what I was seeing inside the ship. So I got to the center of this room, and this room had like a bed, but to me it looked like a steel bed, like resembling steel, metal. And they told me to take my clothes, my underwear off or whatever I had on, and they told me to undress. And I says, why? And this is, we're going to check up on you, and we're your friends. Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you. So I says, okay. So I did that, and I remember getting on top of my butt was cold. I remember feeling the butt cold of the bed, and they slowly lay back. They even gently helped me to lay down, and they put this like a pillow. It resembled a silverish, um, reddish pillow to lay my head on. And as I lay my head, I was freezing. I was like, oh man, this is cold. And they put this blanket that's similar to the pillow. They put the blanket over to just above my chest, and I saw these big bulging lights above me, and I saw the shadow of them over my face, and it was scary looking because how it is having them looking down at you with their big eyes. It was a scary experience for me at first, but they told me to relax. So after that, I blacked out from that experience. I didn't saw what happened after it. But it had many more encounters similar to that experience after. Um, and that impacted me to the point where I tell my mom, my dad about all this, what had happened, to the best of my ability, what I was watching, or I mean, experiencing. And they would get upset with me. They would tell me, you got something in your room that is demonic, that is attracting them to you. Or they would say it's all about demons and all that, and I would get punished. because they think I'm lying, or they think that I'm trying to get attention, which is far from the truth. A matter of fact, I just wanted them to hear me out. Um, but they were I got punished for it. So um, they keep telling me it's demons. And my religion teaches that demons can be like the devil could be in a form of an angel of light, misleading people and stuff like that. So looking back, it's like, you know, no one believes me. So, and they're making me out to be a liar. So, or making it up to get attention, because I was the youngest of the five siblings. I have two brothers and two sisters, and I was a baby. And so anything that happens that they get in trouble, they pointed to me because I was the youngest. So I would get, abused, like uh, abused, physically or whatever. But when I get to the alien part, the extraterrestrials, um, I just went along with them, kept it to myself with all the injections, the abstractions, the implants, or whatever they were doing with me.
Listening to you talk, from, as I said just a little earlier, differently, for most people, if they have an experience with extraterrestrials, especially the Greys, who are known to be these bad little beings, it seems that your upbringing, being a young man, going in school and getting your ass whipped and getting bullied and all this stuff, that when they showed up, they became not only your friends, that because you were in such a space of wanting others to connect to, that this lesson was actually a blessing. Because most people, when they're lying on the bed and they say, take your clothes off, they're freaking the fuck out. And you understand it was a little strange, but you wanted to play with others and you had this. So it basically took the burden of this nightmarish, basically took the burden of this nightmarish potential experience completely away from you, to where you were not like Whitley Strieber at the beginning of his experience. Oh my God, they're raping me, they're taking my integrity and all that. So you had a lot smoother transition into this, yes?
Yes, I did, to a point through the experiences with the Greys and the Draconians. Because as I got a little bit more older, they would come randomly to my room. Instead of going to their ship, they were doing it in my room. And as I got older, they became more like have the rights to me. They're like they could do whatever they want with me without care, if I gave them permission or whatever they assumed. I don't know, but they were abstracting things out of me, and it was hurting. It became more painful down the road with the abductions, especially the Draconians. What I meant by Draconians, because they dressed with this weird armor on them, and it had this emblem, a red emblem on their armor plate. And but anyway, getting back, they took part of what they wanted the Greys to do to me. They were like in charge of them, and telling them, do this one, do it right here. Make sure you get this. Make sure we're going to do that to that. We're going to put an implant.
Ephraim, was your impression that they were of hive mind?
I got the impression they were in charge. They were much bigger as far as authority goes. That there was more to them, like out there. So I thought they were like, how would I say this? Okay, like a sheriff and a deputy. Okay, a sheriff. That there's sheriffs are all scattered throughout the United States, and there's deputies under them, throughout the United States. That kind of way. I felt that they were like the sheriff, and the Greys were just deputies following orders.
Do you think? What is your impression that you've brought back with you? when do you feel that these little grays were biological entities, or do you think they were more of a cyborg construct?
I felt they didn't, to me, my experience, they didn't felt real. Um, I felt something were off about them. Um, I felt the, I, I, I wanted to trust them, but but at the back of my mind, I felt like I can't trust them. But I just went along with it because they're the only friends I had. So I had to trust them, you know.
I want to interrupt you on purpose from the chat room, and it's a fantastic question. Otherwise, I wouldn't, because I'm in awe and wow. And I shouldn't be, because it's the same thing I experienced, but on a different spectrum. Kim Gary asked the question, do they still come? If they do, what age, if they don't, what age did they stop? Do they still come? If not, when did it stop?
To my knowledge, they they stopped somewhere in my 20s, because I don't, from that point, somewhere in the 20s, I'm going to say in my early 20s, because 20s, early 20s to mid 20s, somewhere there,
So how so
because
how
I
so
later,
how old are you now, sir?
I am 43 years old.
Okay, okay. Because it's a timeline. Great.
Yeah. Um, and it was a transition from them to the military abductions that took place in my 20s. And so they it was a slow transition. I think they made a pact with the military or agreement with them, because here's the one thing that I think is a very important point to stress out. And I think I was in my 20s, early 20s. A draconian, he was all white. I never seen it before. He was all white, and he had wings on him, like, wings on his body, and he looked like authoritative leader. That's the impression I got from him.
I had
He
an
came to,
experience with the Royal White about a year ago.
oh, you did?
I did. I never have well, I had negative experiences. When I was being raised Catholic, devil will
Mhm.
get you toes. So and I'd wake up in cold sweats, but now it's like, did you seriously just interrupt my sleep schedule to try to scare me? I'm about to blast you with light. But about a year ago, I had an experience with the Royal White. I was hanging out in someone's basement implying low consciousness, and there was a Royal White, and he was huge, huge
Yeah,
power.
big.
And
Yeah.
when I saw him, he made a motion towards me, maybe just to say hi, and I was like, "Bruh," and I started chanting divine God names, everything that I thought was powerful that would shield me from his whatever. And he said, the next time if you and I ever, you better hope that you and I never meet again. Because I'm
Yeah.
slinging all these God names at him, and it's probably just aggravating him and pissing him off. But I have
Oh
met one, and you're right, they're very big and they're very huge and they're very intimidating.
my God. And that would never go away with me, because I was a young man. You know, I I think I was just a young man. I just knew that, being the guy I was, I peed in my pants, peed in my underwear, because seeing something like that in your room, it's terrifying. Like, oh my God, this thing is coming towards me. It's gonna kill me, rip me apart. I don't know, but it talked to me. It had a very harsh mental communication with me. It wasn't sweet and mellow. It was a very strong, aggressive communication, and I was scared. When you're scared at first, you don't process what it's saying to you, because when it's coming towards you and you're talking to you, you don't process the words it was talking to you about, what it's trying to tell you. But it came to a certain point where I was able to see, okay, whatever I want, what is it, what you want, I'll do it, whatever, just don't hurt me. It came to that kind of point where it told me and described to me about my family lineage, my dad's side. and also described to me that I have what is referred to as minus AB negative. And it's a blood type, copper base. It's something about copper. I don't know. Nothing about the blood thing, But it mentioned something that he was describing how important I am to them. Because he mentioned something about there's only a few percentage on the earth that have what you have, and we want what you have. And that's why we had many, we abstracted a lot of your DNA, my pubic hair, my semen, every part of my body that they could abstract from and implant from. And it was telling me that I'm going to serve a great purpose to them down the road. They're going to see the results of that, which I believe involve the military. I think they're.
Excuse me, everyone. Let me ask you this. First of all, wow, everyone, Center of Light Radio tonight, my guest is, his name is a little challenging for me. Forgive me, my friend. Ephraim Jamin Vasquez Jr. And we're speaking about his life. Pretty intense. Let me ask you this. Being with these others, and you said you felt that you were important to them, is that you being important to them, does that align with the graduation of humanity? Or are they one and the same? Do they support each other, or is this something opposed to the betterment of our world?
I would, from my experience, through my experience, it's opposed. It's nothing of good for mankind. Not that I was aware of.
In what way, sir? I don't mean to interrupt you.
Sure.
I want to milk this teat,
Sure.
if you will.
Okay.
You said it's opposed. In what way would it be? And we don't have to know all the gory details, but is it just domination of this planet just because it's not good somewhere else and they have an agenda to screw some civilization somewhere else? I mean, because this is juicy stuff. And so I'm not doubting you, and I'm not trying to. I'm asking because I'm truly curious to know what it's like to be you and having this experience, and what are those intuitive messages that you were getting?
Well, because from that point onward, my experience has been through abductions, been more of the agenda to control mankind here on Earth. And I was again, that comes down later through the military abductions, that I was being groomed to play a role, and much bigger role, of controlling domination of the world through mind control, through abductions, training, and such. So this draconian that spoke to me was in a way letting me know what's going to be happening to me down the road, by telling me that they got plans, they have an agenda. And as I grew, as years gone by, the experience concluded to me, through the experiences, made me conclude that this is not a positive nature, but a negative one, which involves a control of the population. Because they believe, from what I understand from that draconian, that this earth really is theirs and not mankind's. And because they've been they want to let everybody know that they're in charge, I guess, But when I meant by playing a role of it, I later discovered that the super soldiers are really the hidden army of this world that many people are not aware of, because they're sleepers. This is a global thing, not a. That's why I'm saying I'm not unique. I'm just a piece of a puzzle, of a much grander puzzle.
Let me ask you this, brother. When you, like I said just a bit ago, I know what it's like to be interfacing with a draconian. You can't turn away from someone who has the conscious power of telepathy to say, you're not going to look anywhere else but at me. And it really digs in and it pushes and it presses. And it comes through with a lot of force, saying that, you're going to listen to what I have to say. When are these draconians, are they the ones governing, influencing these super soldiers? If you would please, what are, I asked this of my guest last night. I think it was with Michael Dark Hour Rosa. I'm not sure if I did. What are super soldiers from your point of view? Are these AI metallic kind of biopedic robots, or is this an actual human being? Is it a hybrid of a cyborg kind of thing? What is it?
From the pieces I'm able to gather together, the super soldiers are people like myself. There's many more super soldiers like myself, but all seem to have what is referred to as a negative blood type that seems to be like B, like a B is to a nectar. They go for that, but um, they're humans. They're all men, women all over the place, the world, because it's not stationary in the United States. It's all over the world. And people who encountered being a super soldier or mind control, they tend to have um, experiences of having negative blood type or a purpose, like they're chosen or they're special, and they experience and through flashbacks, no doubt, probably memories of being in combat or having been implanted like a cyborg, like part man, part machine. But to my experience, it seems to be people with negative blood type that seem to carry to have been abductions. Like people are breaking out right now. There's people out there saying, "Hey, I'm a super soldier. I have this flashback, this experience," and in most cases, they could have very much negative blood type. I don't know because I've been talking to Veronica, and who I later discovered she's part of a super soldier unit that I was under, and it's just I think it has to do with the blood type that they're not attracted to the positive blood type rather than negative blood type, and that's why I think the Draconians or the Greys, they do what they do. And when they want the military to be part to train us, they would do that transition. This is what I believe. I could be wrong. But once they're done with us, they move us to the military, where the military is okay, we're going to train these people to be these super soldiers or mid labs or whatever. It's huge. It's on a global scale. There's just too bad there's not enough people out there waking up to the experience of, hey, I'm a super soldier. There's some, they're scattering, they're waking up, um, just like Veronica and a few others, and on YouTube, there's some people saying they're super soldiers and or mid-labs and such. Um, but I think the Draconians and the Greys have a big part in the super soldier spectrum, on a global
Do
scale.
you think they have the influence for MK Ultra?
Um,
Obviously, it makes sense that there has to be some sort of connection, even just by synchronicity or parallel, because it's
right.
about being of hive mind. So MK Ultra is hive
Yeah.
mind in the regard that
The
from the
MK Ultra.
throne that someone sends out a message, everyone's going to get what they're supposed to do
Yeah,
without
the
argument.
MK Ultra, the first real, I call it, it's like an octopus. The MK Ultra, it's it started back in the '60s, I believe, but it's a head, and the projects that the people that are being mind controlled or being used as super soldiers, there's just many tentacles, which there's projects, various levels and various sorts of projects um, that all of them are in on different levels um, of being programmed and trained to do certain things Every super soldier is not the same. Everybody's unique in their experiences, their trainings, what they witnessed, what they saw, what they're doing, whatever. The projects are related to the MK Ultra. Yes, I heard that the MK Ultra is no longer there, but when you cut the head off, you got the tail, you got the tentacles that are still active, still moving. And it is to my belief that in some way or another, I believe perhaps now that the Draconians and the Greys are involved or in some way direct involved with people who later say, hey, because I'm sure, like, if you ask someone who's been a super soldier, they would say, yeah, I've been abducted by aliens before. And, no thought of, no, like saying, yeah, I saw a gray or I saw a UFO or at my house or somewhere. But there's
Ephraim,
always
let me
been
ask you this, sir. When you say super soldier, I love it. It paints a beautiful picture and all that beyond our ability to grasp. The word super in and of itself is pretty super. When you say super soldier, just in a very simple yes or no, not because I'm
okay.
doubting you, I want to learn.
Okay. Matter of fact, I appreciate it. Even I like to want people to keep an open mind to what I say, because I don't
Yeah,
want people to say, "Oh, I don't want people to say I believe you," or "I just believe you." I want them to hear if it resonates with them, the possibility that these things happen the way it's happening.
totally,
Um,
totally.
I want people to open mind. That's all I ask.
So my
Um,
question to you, my friend, is, and a very simple answer is: being a super soldier a beneficial thing to humanity?
no.
Okay, so I know you're being honest. And I wasn't testing you, but that even validated. And if you would have said yes, and my next question was going to be within, why would these draconians want you to become this very super soldier that would create their demise? And so you answered the question with that. Fantastic. I get it. I get it.
Um, because again, it boils down to domination. The Draconians have made many attempts to try to control the Earth, but since we're over what 8-9 billion people, um, and we are amazing people. We're an amazing race here on Earth. We have power of love and God in all of us. We are fighters. We would not allow something to happen to the world that it would become controlled by extraterrestrial alien forces. So the Draconians realized their plan was to get, because they found out that the negative blood type humans pose a better weapon, a force, that if they can control them through implants, whether it's organic or metallic, um, they would use the military, because the military is a sellout. There's there's a military complex. There's a grand complex where uh, they say they're going to say, here's these group of people. We want you to train them for being a super soldier to help, because they want to form what is called a satanic army, a global satanic negative army. It's where they it's like we're, because if you were to see the military today, American troops, they would not allow they would not go back here in America and allow anybody to destroy America. They would defend the country. But when you get from within the countries, the super soldiers have no allegiance to no country, no nationalities. Their allegiance to the dark powers that be, because they're under mind control. They're a large uh, force. They're sleepers right now, thank God. But there's a lot of them are opening up to their experience. Oh my God, I've been having these flashbacks that I'm a super, like a soldier of some kind, killing and and describing the experience, because a lot of people are opening it up to flashbacks and to memories that they would not normally have, and they're sharing that, and that's important, because there's something bigger than what's been happening right now than you see in the world today. Today it's chaotic. Everybody seems, there's love seems to be not present in a global scale, of course, because you see a lot of wars and and protesting and bombing and such. But getting back to this, uh, the super soldiers will be united. They'll be united under one purpose, one cause. Like, let's bring down the world in a sense, but they'd be under mind control, and they'd be on a global scale. That's the purpose of the super soldiers. Is that it's not just the military would not just say, "Oh yeah, I got 12,500 super soldiers. Let's train them and do nothing with them. Let's waste money on them." No, they have a bigger purpose, and it's a global purpose. That's why I believe that uh, the Draconians and the Greys have played a role in this. The military took it up a notch.
You know you have a book in you, right?
Hmm?
You have a phenomenal bestseller in you. You do.
Oh, thanks.
Everyone, my name is Keith Anthony Branch, Center of Light Radio. Tonight I'm interviewing, let me get his name right, Ephraim Jamin Vasquez Jr. And we're speaking about his life. For those who are rockers, and even if you're not a rocker, go on Google and look up, or go on YouTube and look up Queensryche, the band Queensryche. The album is called Operation Mindcrime. Right? Listen to the whole album. Make sure you get all the lyrics. You might not be into this kind of music, but listen to the music because of the power it has in the lyric. And it's exactly what you were describing, bro. Truly, about this guy gets a phone call. His name is Nicky. He just sleeps there. He's a person. And the phone call happens. He says hello, and it says Mindcrime. And he just goes into this state of warrior, kill, kill, kill. And the album may seem dark, but there's a resolution to it. So everyone, my guest tonight, I have been posting how to find more about him and what he's doing in these forums. You definitely have a book in you, bro.
Thank you. I try not to be negative about my experience and what I think, but because I know that in the end they're going to lose, and I always think positive in that respects. I'm trying my best to dissect the experience I'm sharing with you. Trying to tell the people the best I know how. Remember, I had never done an interview before. I kept to myself with these experiences because nobody would believe me at the time, and I'm trying my best to give the best clarity of my experience and what I think. I'm trying to be honest, because you got to think of this way: what is the purpose of a super soldier? What is the goal when you really think about it? And I think that it's a bigger, grander scale, and I think it's a hidden army that is waiting to unleash itself when the time is right. But the military is going to have its hand on the trigger, not the aliens, not the Draconians. They were part of that, but the military, from my experience, have took over my abduction and trained me with whatever they had, whatever the Draconians and the Greys used me on. They took over. They said, okay, we got him. Let's see what the Draconians and the Greys did to him. Let's up the game here. Let's put some more implants. Let's put some more organic, and let's upgrade him to a super soldier. Let's find out what he can do using his abilities. And I have flashbacks of all that, a lot of it. And so that's why I kind of conclude that, the big hand is the military. They're the ones that I think is a real threat, more so than the abductions of aliens, per se. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, because a lot of people would say, no, the aliens are the worst, not the military. But I think a little bit of both. But I think the military has its hand. I think they have blood in their hands, because from my flashbacks, I've killed. through under mind control flashbacks, terrifying. That's why I have
Bro,
PTSD.
that's a very powerful, honest, vulnerable statement to come publicly and say, I have killed. Knowing that I can look at you, know that you have an amazing integration of a relationship with the highest order, with God and whatever people
Yeah,
want to call it. But to
yeah,
come
God,
forth and say, I have this part of me on some other parallel universe that did said thing when I was unconscious because I'm being influenced to a level that I myself don't want to be a part of.
right?
That's really powerful and bold, bro. I respect that.
It's actually that's what keeps me up at night. But I do pray to God, and I believe in Jesus Christ, and
Bruh.
I because of what the flashbacks did to me, it made me stronger to the light. I pray to God every day in Jesus Christ, that to give me strength to help me, because I'm not that kind of a person, and and to see the flashbacks of what under mind control can do to you, it's incredible. I mean, there's people who under mind control experience that as sex slaves or sex kittens or people who have done missions and do things that they would never do. So, but I do at the end, I pray to God and I let Him just judge these people. And all I can do now, as a conscious person right now, is do good, not only for mankind but for myself. I study Bibles. Um, I love to hear people's experiences because it strengthened me to be um, to be a to be that good person. And that's why I'm coming out in the open and sharing um, of what I know. And but I believe the strongest force is God. Love comes right beneath God, 'cause God's the Almighty, and love comes right. It's like a flow. God, Jesus Christ, it's like a flow through love, and nothing can stop it. And when we share that with one another, it makes the dark side or the powers that be, the dark powers that be, they scatter and flee, and it weakens their position. And I think the more people who are super soldiers, alien abductees, or med labs, it's important for those people to come out in the open and share their experience. We all have a piece of the puzzle. I don't have all the answers. I'm just doing my best to explain what I think is happening. Um, but I want people to keep an open mind to everything I say, because last thing I want to do is have people just be blindly believing one thing and not researching. Not do, just hear what I have to say, try to research and try to find some things from the research that's connected to my experience, if they can, or if it connects or if it resonates with them. Um, but again, I just believe that the super soldiers, they are the hidden army of the world that is the greatest kept secret for most of the general population that are not aware of it. Because you got to think one thing: what's the point of being a super soldier if if you're just alone? There's no a soldier. It consists of a military. Like in the military, when you have a soldier, there's there's levels of a hierarchy. Like major, uh, admiral, captain. There's positions in the military, and the soldiers go up the rank. So I think being a soldier under my control, there is a system in place um, that is bigger and well hidden. Um, and people like Veronica, that I had the pleasure of meeting in the previous interview, she has experienced many of the super soldier experiences that she's sharing. And I think we all have these pieces that needs to be um, shared and connected to. Put these pieces into the puzzle. Adding much as possible, because when you get the puzzle completed, you'll see the bigger picture of what's happening. Um,
If you don't mind, from the chat room, Kim Gary asked a very important question. I think she says, "Can I ask, do you have children?" Just
I
thinking of your bloodline. Thank you.
I don't have children, and for some odd reason, I got information from sources stating that in most cases, a lot of people like who are super soldiers or mid-labs or whatever, they tend to be loners or tend to not have children. Maybe if but again, that's just what I've been told.
And so
But for me, I don't.
that's the parallel from your early life, being a loner.
Being a loner,
All right.
I don't have kids, I never did. I never had any relationships, um, meaning that I I don't know why I never had relationships. Um, I'm a cool guy, I'm down to earth. I'm open-minded, but I'm loving, caring, I don't have anybody, but what I do is I spend my time searching for the truth and wherever that may lead me. But I'm always having God and Jesus Christ with me throughout my life experience, throughout my day
So
to
when
day.
these draconians found you, they messed with the wrong person,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
because essentially because that's what when anything happens, it's God. I think they're now as I got more mature, more older. I think that's why they let me go because I think my free spirited was not to harm or hurt, and to just build love because I wanted to love them, and I guess they didn't like it because that's why they probably fled because I tried to share that love with the Greys and the Draconians, and I think didn't have none of it. So I think at a certain point they left me, let me go, and to let the military take over. That's my opinion because I wanted them. I wanted to share my love with them. It's like you're my family, you're my friends. I consider you my family, but they didn't have that mentality. Their mentality was,
That's pretty amazing you say that because many, like I told you earlier, being raised Catholic, devil, demons, all this
yeah,
dogmatic theology.
oh,
I would have these experiences. I'd wake up in cold sweats. Now that I got my walk on, it's like, bro, did you seriously just come at me? Are you serious? I'm about to blast you with light. And that you just said that.
yeah,
It reminds me of many experiences I've had that when negative beings, we can call them demons, we can call them extraterrestrials, because if they're not of the earth, they're extraterrestrial. They're not of the earth. Humanity is of the earth. But when they come to me, like you just said, I would grab them and give them my love, big old hug
yeah,
around the neck and kiss them on their face. And they say, bro, you're burning the shit out of me. I want no part of your
yeah.
reality.
They
And they would just
flee,
completely flee. Absolutely. Bro, yo, no joke.
and that's what I did with. That's why I wanted to do that to them because I wanted to. I did not realize the effect I had, but I just wanted to share my love, and I throughout my experience with them in the later time, as before they leave me, transition, I was sharing, wanted to say, I love you, Gray, or I love you, and I love, because I grew up with them pretty much since I was a kid, but they just left. They didn't want none of that. They didn't want none of my bond and friendship or none of that, or a love of any sort, or God even. So, yeah, definitely. I realize they're very negative, I guess, if they didn't want to be that bond, friendship, love, whatever, they just scattered. They left. And but the military, they took over the human military. So they're earth-born humans with a nefarious purpose, apparently. They just want to say, hey, you know what? We're not scared about your love or whatever. We're going to use you up. And so I was forced, and I experienced pain, trauma, pain through the training. Um, it wasn't a smooth transition. It was painful. It affected me a lot in my person PTSD and all these traumas that went with it. But in the end, I kept my head up, my chin up, and I'm not gonna let them destroy me or take over me or anything. I love people. I love men, women, and children. I only want the best and for all of them, for all mankind. Um, I feel so sad when I see people starving in countries, third world countries, and I pray for them. I pray for mankind. Um, Even the animals, believe it or not. I love animals and I love nature. I love God's creation. And but the experience I have, I'm I'm just trying my best to analyze and figure things out because I'm still working this all out, trying to make sense of it all. And I'm just doing the best to make sense of it all and share that with you. And I hope somebody can help me. Looking for I need help. I'm not just going to stick to my own way and just pull my own path. I want to share others. I want others to share with me their experiences, and we can grow from the strength of the sharing and the positive love that comes, in their life. Some of them might be a Catholic or Protestant or even a witness. But I'm open-minded. I want to hear and share the experience and the love that they have. I believe that when we all stick together, we're an unstoppable force. Under the banner of God. You know what I'm saying? And so I just hope that something positive will come out from in the end. So, but my experience with the super soldiers is it's a lot of pain, a lot of stuff that I
Would
saw.
you change from where you are now to your childhood with the abuse and the experiences you had? Would you change all that if you could, or are you happy exactly smack dab where you are?
I, looking now at this moment, despite the abuse and the trauma, honestly, I wouldn't change because if I didn't have to go through all this, I think I would have been a much, I think it would have been a negative life I would have had because remember when you have the constant abuse, you had no support. And if the aliens didn't came when they came, I would have grown up in a much different environment, a much negative environment. Um, but the grace kind of helped me, woke me up from where I was in a way. So they kind of did, in a way, a service to me in a way because they helped me open up the realization, the truth that there's life out there in other planets, that there's positive races out there, loving beings out there, and not only negative but positive, just like here on Earth, but it is on a universal scale. You see, Earth, we have Earth, we are intelligent beings, we have technologies, we have spiritualities. And I think what opened up to me is that I believe that the universe, planets that have life, have these similarities. And on different levels, everybody's all on different planets working, have different levels of these things, these qualities. Um,
Let's leave it right there. I
so it
would
kind of
love to
opens
have
up.
you back on Center of Light again soon. Bro, I really enjoyed my time about you, and I want to give you a rub on your back. You have a real human light about you. And so I want to say that publicly. You do. You do. You're not trying to sell anybody anything, especially
No.
not bullshit. In being a musician and being a
Oh yeah,
seer, I can
absolutely.
see.
Musicians. Yeah,
I can see there's a consistency in
Mhm.
you. There's something that is very musical. It's very soft, very powerful. I totally believe you, without a doubt. And I would like to do a part two with you. And we stopped at this moment. If we can make a landmark or
Okay.
a marquee here saying, let's take a. I would like to get you back on Center of Light again soon. I mean,
And
seriously, like real soon, and do a part two because I know there's a lot of book in you still that needs to be unraveled.
yeah, I'd like to talk more about the super soldiers in
Sure.
depth because that there's a lot to be said on that end. Um,
Send
But
me
yeah,
send me your itinerary. Your agenda is let me about the theme and what we're gonna go in. I would love to have it again for sure.
yeah, and I want to thank your viewers also for asking questions and watching this video. And I hope some of the things I said resonates with them or makes sense to the viewers. Again, I'm just doing my best to keep it real. I try, just be honest, keep it real to the best of my ability. And
You've done that. That is a fact. You've done that so simply.
thank you. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Everyone, my friend, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try again. I'm getting better. Ephraim Hakeem Vasquez Jr., my guest tonight on Center of Light Radio. Wow. Please stick around if you can, my friend. I want to talk to you in the green room, which is not green at all. It's laid out. Someone's experience, right, wrong, in, out, up, down, hot, cold, it doesn't matter. Someone is saying, this was a real experience for me. We all have our own, this was a real experience for me. And as my friend said, I think it's very important that we engage in dialogue. No censorship, bullshit, dialogue. Get to know one another on all the levels of the fractal human being. God is omnipresent. It's everywhere all the time, even through those grays, even through those gray days. Whatever it is that happens in your life, God is present. So are you seeing what's happened to you, as my guest tonight did, as grace, or something you're trying to run away to replace your reality? It will never flee from you. It will come back in a different form or different guise. And it'll say, I'm not done with you yet. When you're done with it, it will go find someone else's shoulder to land on. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard, Center of Light Radio, coming back strong. My accounts were shut down due to the draconian boy on social media. You can figure out who he is. But I'm back. So I'm going to move into phenomenal guests like tonight on Center of Light Radio. But I'm still doing my one to the audience presentations. I am always open to your suggestions about what you would like me as a spiritual teacher to talk about, coming from my book, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, my new bestseller, and my Lavender Soul music, which you've been hearing always. But if you have a suggestion, and you on social media and you're watching mainstream and it just seems like everybody's depressed lately. Keith, talk about depression. It's everywhere. Keith, talk about anxiety. It's everywhere. If you want to learn more about angels, it doesn't mean I know more than you. I've learned to tap into something like my guest tonight that says, wow, this is not only a potentiality. It's not only possible, it's happening because I am validation on this camera and this microphone telling you. This is something that I've experienced. Reality or illusion, I'm here to tell you, this is simply what it's like to be me. Are you being you fully? I love you because you are beautifully forever part of my tribe. Keith Anthony Blanchard, Center of Light Radio. I'll be seeing you soon. Yo, yo, yo. You are loved beyond measure. You are a pleasure. And together in this treasure trove, we will live in the garden of forever.
Thank you. That was awesome. You did great. I love the music.